Today, I'll be giving you an overview of Deck of Wonders. We'll be doing this while watching a full one-player playthrough in time-lapse form. The game is designed for one player with the ability to be played cooperatively with another player. On average, it's going to take you about 15 minutes to finish a game. Prototype copy used. The Deck of Wonders, the prized possession of Fate herself, a magical artifact of unlimited power and possibility, and you had the audacity to steal it. Fate is no doubt sending her followers to reclaim the deck from you. Deck of Wonders is a legacy card game where you'll be fighting off against one of 3 villains. As you face off against these villains, you'll complete distinct challenges. As you complete these challenges, you'll be able to unlock legacy packs, which will add cards to the game and modify the rules of the game. The objective of the game is to defeat the villain that you're facing off by reducing their health to 0 before they do the same to you. For your first game, select the villain the Spoiled Prince. Read his card text carefully, then put him in the rules area and set the health trackers according to instructions on his card. Next, you'll need to create the draw pile. The draw pile will contain cards from both you and the villain you're facing. The draw pile must include all cards from the villain you're facing, typically 28 cards, but you may add any combination of 28 cards from your own collection. After you've chosen the cards that you want to use from your collection, shuffle all of them together with Colin's cards, and then place them in the draw area. This is now the deck that both of you will be drawing from for the game. You may have noticed each card has 2 halves. One half will be the player's half, which is the one with the 3 icons on it, and the other half will be the villain's half, the one with the 2 icons on it. Whenever the player draws a card, they will only look at the player's half, and whenever a villain draws a card, they will only look at the villain's half. You are now ready to begin your game. For the player's first turn, and their first turn only, the player will draw 4 cards. On all consecutive turns, the player will only draw 1 card at a time. If the player does not like the 4 cards that they have drawn, they may discard all 4 cards and draw another 4 cards. You may have noticed there are 2 types of cards in the game. There are spell cards, which have an immediate effect when played based on their card text, but are discarded once their text is resolved, and there are minions. Minions have persistent presence in the play area and can attack turn after turn. Some cards might have play effects on them. Whenever a card is played, immediately resolve that card's play effect. Some cards will also have costs to them. If you cannot pay the cost of the card, you cannot play the card. Next, the player may play as many or as little cards as they desire. If a player were to play a minion card, they will play that minion into the play area exhausted. This is represented by turning that minion to the side. And if the player were to have any minions that were not exhausted, they could then attack with those minions in any order they desire and target enemies, including the villain, in any order. The attack power of a minion is represented by the top left icon on its minion's card, and the minion's health is represented by the top right icon on the minion's card. To attack with the ready, right side up minion, exhaust it by turning it sideways and deal its damage to a target villain or villain minion. The target will always deal its damage back to the attacking minion. If the target deals damage equal to or greater than your attacking minion's health, your minion is destroyed and will be discarded. Once cumulative attacks from the player minions deal damage greater than or equal to the target's health, the target is destroyed. You may choose not to attack with the ready minion if you want. This continues until the player decides that they want to end their turn. Once the player ends their turn, they can now ready all of their exhausted minions. They will then reset all minions' health to full, including the villain's minions, and then they will pass their turn to the villain. For the villain's first turn, and their first turn only, the villain will draw 3 cards. On all consecutive turns, the villain will draw only 1 card at a time. The villain will draw these 3 cards and resolve them individually. If the villain is to draw a spell, they will play it immediately, regardless of whether or not that spell's effect applies or not. And if the villain plays a minion, they will play that minion in the ready state, which means it's ready to attack. After the villain has drawn all the cards that they can possibly do, it is now for the next phase, the battle lines. In the battle lines phase, the player is allowed to order their player minions from left to right in the priority order. The priority is represented on the player's minions by the top middle icon. That's represented by a number. The number that is the highest will go on the left of the player's play area, and the number that is the lowest will go on the right side of the player's play area. Afterwards, the player can then order the villain minions from left to right in the order they want them to attack. And now, it is time for the villain to attack. Already villain minions will attack one at a time in order from left to right. In their collective attacks, will destroy the highest priority, the leftmost player minion. They attack it until it's destroyed. Otherwise, they attack the player directly. This will continue until all the villain's minions are exhausted. Afterwards, it's now the player's turn, they draw a card, and we start again. This continues back and forth between the player and the villain until one person's health is reduced to 0. And that, in a nutshell, my friends, is Deck of Wonders. Hope you enjoyed the time-lapse overview. If you liked it and you want similar content, consider subscribing to the channel. Other than that, that's all I have today. Until next time, so long, farewell.